Hey everyone, this is Mike. In today's video I'm going to be talking about some patch 5.2 preparations that I'm going to be doing and that some of you might want to consider doing as well. Now, because patch 5.2 is going to have our next raid tier, since it is not the first raid tier of the expansion, Savage will come out the same day as normal mode, meaning that you don't have this 2-week period where you can already grind out normal mode for some of that normal raid gear, meaning that crafted gear is going to be very important if you want to go and progress relatively fast through the raid tier, be it going for world progression or going for a week 1 clear or something like that. And even then, if you're not going to go for a week 1 clear, having that crafted gear available to you will make you stronger in the raid to come as well, meaning that stuff will go a lot easier for you. Now, of course, I'm not only going to be talking about crafted gear, I'm also going to be talking about some of the materials that you will need for this. And even if you're not going to go into Savage or you don't really care for getting that crafted gear in advance, you might still want to gather some of these materials so that you can sell them on the patch day, because on the patch day everybody's gonna want to have access to those materials and they'll pay a pretty good price to get their hands on them. So even if you're not going to go into Savage straight away, if you gather these materials and put them on the market board by the time that the patch goes live, then you'll probably be able to make a fair amount of gil in the process. So first of all, let's start out with something that everybody can do, and that is cap your tomestones. Of course, with the new patch, a new tomestone is going to be introduced, meaning that Goetia is going to go away, Phantasmagoria is going to be our new farmable tomestone, and then we have that new tomestone that will be our weekly capped one, meaning that we can trade in part of our, or all of our Goetia at that point, for a decent chunk of Phantasmagoria, and then we'll be able to use Phantasmagoria to buy some of these new materials that are needed to make the crafted gear. So those materials will probably be in very high demand on the first day, because that is where most of the hardcore raiders will be looking to get their crafted gear, especially if they're going for world prog or something like that. So putting those materials on the market board on day 1 will be a very good way to make some money. Then moving on, we have aether sands. This is a very annoying thing to gather usually. You can gather them normally, you can also just get them through white script farming if you want to get it that way. And these are things that are always in demand as well. They're annoying to get, meaning that people will be a lot faster to pay money forward for it. But on the other hand, it is also something that you can prepare in advance if you do want to get, for example, crafted gear for yourself, if you do plan to tackle Savage yourself. If you want to go and gather these, I would recommend you try to get 800 GP, because that will allow you to use an extra usage of single mind, as you do need 3 times for that discerning eye, if you get unlucky with procs of course, and then you have an extra 200 you can spend on single mind. So that's a pretty good thing if you want to go gather those aether sands. Of course you can get them with white scripts as well, as I said, so you can use the white script that you get, for example, from doing Kaishir every week, and then of course the other weekly collectibles, to go and buy some of these aether sands if you want to do that. If you don't want to spend your white scripts on the aether sands, definitely get that as well, because the white script materials will probably get an update as well, which will be used most likely for new food and potions, and maybe it will even have some materials for the crafted gear as well. So if you can gather the aether sands yourself, pretty good, but if you're able to save some white scripts, make sure you do that as well, because there's most likely going to be some new items that we will need from the white scripts as well for the new crafted gear or for the new food and stuff like that. Of course, with gear comes materia, and because crafted gear can be pentamelded, it's a good idea to stock up on materia. There's a few ways you can do it. Hunts is most likely the best way to get it, because with the cracked clusters and the other clusters that you get from doing A rank hunts and stuff like that, you'll be able to just straight up buy materia. Of course, by doing normal hunts, like the ones that you can spam every day, you'll also get the nut sacks that you can also spend on those materia that you might want. And then of course, if you don't need materia, you can always put them on the market board for those raiders that do want to have some more of that. And you can already start doing that right now, of course. Then going back to crafting, if you want to prepare as many mats as possible, it's a good idea to already go around the legendary and the unspoiled nodes to go and gather as many of those materials as possible, because most likely there will be new materials introduced in these legendary and unspoiled nodes, meaning that you might not have the time anymore to go grab the ones that are already in the game right now, because they will be in the same node, meaning that you will have to make a choice in between which of the 2 or maybe of the 3 that you want to gather, so it's a good idea to stock up on those already. You can use a website called Garland Tools, which is a very useful website that I always use when I go gathering, because it shows you the location and the time at which these nodes will be available. Now, of course, the crafted gear will most likely also get some materials in them that is already available now that you can just go gather out, but those are not necessarily materials that I would recommend you to go get right now, because we don't know which ones they are, and since you can just spam gather them anyways, I don't think it's that important to prepare those just yet. Last but not least, small one, not necessarily super important, but do your squadrons. The squadrons can give you a food buff, which is stronger than the free company one, or at least I think it's maybe as strong as the level 3 one, but this is one that you can easily farm for yourself. I think they give you about 5 a week or something like that. Depends on the level of your squadron, I believe, but it's a good way to just extend the food duration so you won't have to buy as much food as you might otherwise have to. And then of course some pretty basic stuff to prepare as well if you plan to go in immediately when the patch goes live. Before you maybe craft all of that gear is make sure you already have some food ready, make sure you already have some potions, and then of course make sure you already have the gear ready as well, that you have the current biz or at least the maximum item level for when the raid goes live, so that you're as strong as possible if you plan to jump in immediately before getting that crafted gear. So that's kind of the prep that I'm going to be doing for 5.2. Gonna gather these materials, maybe craft some stuff already as well, just in case, to make the transition from the patch being live to getting my crafted gear as soon as possible, so that I can hop into Savage with my group as well. And if you're not interested in Savage, hopefully this will also help you gain a little bit more gil in the game if you'd like to do that, because having some gil is always nice for when there's a certain item that you might want to buy from the market board. So that's pretty much going to be it for me. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.